Hello everyone, Discount Specialist here. We are on the third video for the Refining and Crafting series for New World. Um, we've covered the woodworking station as well as the loom. The next thing we're going to touch is the smelter. You're going to become very close friends with the smelter in New World if you're doing any type of crafting, really, uh, or if you're just selling the products as you're refining them, because a lot of people don't want to have to go through, not necessarily with iron, but as you get lower down the refining process. um, we're going to look into some more of the refining components again. Some people just would prefer to buy the bars outright, especially for town projects and things like that. um, with that said, here's the smelter. So one thing that the smelter does is make charcoal. Charcoal is used for various things. It can be used for some of the furnishing profession. I haven't worked too much in it. I do know it is used to make stain. Um, right off the rip at the beginning, I'm sure that charcoal is probably another tool or resource that's used um, for other stains, most likely, as well as other things. But charcoal is also one of your biggest resources when you're smelting higher level metals. So you do not need it for iron, but every metal after iron requires charcoal. So this is going to eat into some of your wood, and you're going to be using this. And I did reference this in my the wood shop video, that that some of the wood you're going to take and you're going to turn it into charcoal, and that would cover in this. So this is charcoal, and we'll see its use as we go down the line here. So the first real ore you're going to be working with quite a bit is iron ore. And this is simply just 4-to-1 ratio. It's following the same trend that all other resources are. We're going to see 4-to-1, 4-to-1, 6-to-1, 8-to-1. So here's our 4-to-1 for iron. There is some void ingots. This is a hard resource to come by, but you can get it. I wouldn't worry too much about this. It's cool, but I wouldn't worry about it. You're probably not going to smelt it very often, but it is something to know that's there. Steel ingots. So I need to correct myself here. I said 4-to-1 all the way. Smelting is one of the differences. So we were working with the loom and woodworking. Smelting is a little different because it throws charcoal in mix. So some of the numbers are off here. I guess they did that for balancing. So I take that back. So what we're doing here is it's 3 plus one of the refining reagents, and then 2 charcoal. So essentially, to make 2 charcoal, you're going to need 4 green wood. I would recommend only using green wood because it's the easiest thing to harvest in good amounts. So and then we said it's 4-to-1 here. Once again, you're going to need 3 bars, so you need 12 iron ore and 4 green wood to make 1 steel ingot with one of the refining resources. So it's still following 16 of the low tier resources to one of the next tier resources. So it is 4-to-1. It's just they tried to balance it out, and I actually enjoy that they did that. But we are going to see as we get further down, star metal gets a little more expensive. And it is a big selling item. At least it is right now on the market, and I'm sure as some things change, it's going to be more expensive. I am going to go ahead and touch into this now. I've touched into the other videos, but once again, if this is the first video you're watching, I don't want you to miss out on it. There is talk that they are going to reduce the drop rate from chests that you find inside of the abandoned cities and the excavation sites that give you these resources. They feel like they're giving them away too much. So if you're playing now, save them. If you're just getting in, save them. Regardless, save them. You're going to need a lot of them, especially if you decide you really want to level crafting up. You're going to need a lot. I mean a lot of refining resources. We are going to cover a little bit later down in the line here how to convert them. Once again, I'll tell you, use it sparingly, and we'll go over into why to use that sparingly when we go down that section. But for right now, save these. you will find sand flux, shell dust flux, and obsidian flux. Obsidian flux you won't really see until top levels. I started seeing a lot of this about level 35, 40, and then you'll see all the other refining components basically from the start of the game as you're looting stuff. With that said, still 4-to-1. It's just mixed resources, which is helpful because you're going to finding ores. It can be tedious, especially when you have smaller weight capacity at the lower levels, because you can only get so much. So once we move from iron, we're going to move up to star metal. And so with star metal, we're going back to 6. So so while steel is actually a little bit better, that ratio is talking about where we said 4-to-1, 4-to-1, 6-to-1, 8-to-1. I guess they decided just to go ahead and go right back to the ratio. So they gave you a little bit of a break on steel, but here we are. We are now into 6 star metal ore. So that's our 6-to-1 ratio that I'm talking about. It's our 6 of our raw material, and then all of our components that we need to refine that raw material. So 2 of the previous, which is pretty standard along all the other refining ones, a refining resource, and charcoal. So once said, or I've said it already once, but I'll say it again. Charcoal isn't hard to make. You can use green wood, so it's not really that big a deal, other than it can kind of be a nuisance because you just need to go take time to go chop down some trees, turn it into charcoal. And then after we're done with star metal, boom, we're into orichalcum. Have a hard time pronouncing that. No idea why. Orichalcum ingots. And here we are, 8-to-1 ratio. So we need 8 of the raw ore and 2 of the previous, 1 refining resource, and because it's specifically smelting, 2 charcoal per an ingot. So it still does follow that 4-to-1 ratio, 6-to-1 ratio, 8-to-1 ratio, with the exception being steel ingots kind of gives you a little bit of a break, so you have a little bit of a refuge in the middle there. The other thing to look at is, so those are our metals for crafting armors, weapons, tools, but we have specific metals that are separated out for jewelry, and those are our precious metals. So we have silver, which is 4-to-1, gold, which is actually, this is a little bit weird again. We have 5 gold ore, and then 2 of the previous mat plus a refining resource. So it doesn't really follow the 4 or the 6 rule, but there's a lot less precious metal in that that mix. So this is probably one that deviates slightly, but we do still have that refining amount. 2 of the previous ingots and the refining component, and that's kind of standard still. The next one we're going to look at is platinum, and that goes to 6. So then we're back to the normal. 6 of the raw, 2 of the previous refined material, and 1 of the refining components. And as I said, I would go over the material conversion. So as I said, refining regions are important. Keep them, save them, especially if they're going to reduce the drop rate on them, or at least the amount, that you're going to be getting per a chest that you're looting. With that said, you can, if you happen to have an excess of one type, you can use a material converter. So the common one is for the tier 3, the advanced is for tier 4, and then finally we have the masterwork material converter for tier 5. So I know for a fact that the common material converter is 100 of your faction points, and that the advanced one is 200. I believe the masterwork is 300. I think it goes up by 100 each, but it may be a little bit more. So you can convert it, just use it sparingly, because it's, yes, you're going to be transferring 15 of one to 15 of another, and you may need those, but that means you're also you're deducting 15 from another one that you may not have enough for other crafting. So use it sparingly. You do need, if I had to recommend anything, and I forgot to mention this in the other videos, but if I had to recommend anything, convert solvent, not all of it. Solvent is used to make and refine certain gems, which we'll see in a later video, but you don't need as much of it. So you can be a little bit stingy, or not really stingy, but you can be a little freer with the solvent, just because you won't need as much of it. So that's my little hint for this video. I may try to incorporate into the rest of the videos in my series, but solvent. If you're really in a pinch, I would save at least 25 to 30 solvent so you can make gems that you need, even if you're not selling them. And then if you have anything over that, if you need to convert 15 of anything, make it solvent. So with that said, once again, material downgrades. You do need solvent for this. I do not recommend downgrading metals unless you absolutely have to, and I can't think of a reason you'd absolutely have to. You're going to lose materials doing this. You have to use yet another refining component to accomplish it. I don't see it being worthwhile. Just if you have to, you have to. If you find a reason you have to, maybe you just have so much weak solvent and you just crushed it. You just made so much star metal or so much steel that you just can't even handle it. Okay, go for it if you really have to, but it's better just to farm it and just work your way back up, because if you farm extra, you just give away whatever you need in the lower tier, or you use whatever you need in the lower tier, and you get to convert the rest to a higher tier. To me, it's going to be better, but you do have that option. Same thing with the precious metals. And then Asmodium is the Epic Tier 5 one. As I said in my last videos, I have not got to play with this at all. Can't wait to look and see what these are used for. But it is a 5 of the Orichalcum ingots, and then some legendary resources we'd have to farm. I've seen these drop, not for me, but for one of our level 60s in the company. It only will accept the tier 5 refining component and then 2 charcoal. Alright, so that is the smelter. We'll continue on in the series. I think we'll look at stone next, which will encompass both stone and gems. But this is the smelter, and once again, please click the like and subscribe if you found this information helpful, and let me know if there's anything that you'd like me to, as far as content, to add. Any questions, just post them in the comments section, and I'll be happy to get that information out there. With that said, hope you have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you next time.